Horrid Henry by Francesca Simon. Read by Miranda Richardson. Horrid Henry's perfect day. Henry was horrid. Everyone said so, even his mother. Henry threw food, Henry snatched, Henry pushed and shoved and pinched. Even his teddy avoided him when possible. His parents despaired. "What are we going to do about that horrid boy?" sighed Mum. "How did two people as nice as us have such a horrid child?" sighed Dad. When Horrid Henry's parents took Henry to school, they walked behind him and pretended he was not theirs. Children pointed at Henry and whispered to their parents, "That's Horrid Henry. He's the boy who threw my jacket in the mud. He's the boy who squashed Billy's beetle. He's the boy who—" Fill in whatever terrible deed you like. Horrid Henry was sure to have done it. Horrid Henry had a younger brother. His name was Perfect Peter. Perfect Peter always said please and thank you. Perfect Peter loved vegetables. Perfect Peter always used a hanky and never, ever picked his nose. "Why can't you be perfect like Peter?" said Henry's mum every day. As usual, Henry pretended not to hear. He continued melting Peter's crayons on the radiator. But Horrid Henry started to think. "What if I were perfect?" thought Henry. "I wonder what would happen." When Henry woke the next morning, he did not wake Peter by pouring water on Peter's head. Peter did not scream. This meant Henry's parents overslept and Henry and Peter were late for Cubs. Henry was very happy. Peter was very sad to be late for Cubs. But because he was perfect, Peter did not whine or complain. On the way to Cubs, Henry did not squabble with Peter over who sat in front. He did not pinch Peter, and he did not shove Peter. Back home, when Perfect Peter built a castle, Henry did not knock it down. Instead, Henry sat on the sofa and read a book. Mum and Dad ran into the room. "It's awfully quiet in here," said Mum. "Are you being horrid, Henry?" "No," said Henry. "Peter, is Henry knocking your castle down?" Peter longed to say yes, but that would be a lie. "No," said Peter. He wondered why Henry was behaving so strangely. "What are you doing, Henry?" said Dad. "Reading a wonderful story about some super mice," said Henry. Dad had never seen Henry read a book before. He checked to see if a comic was hidden inside. There was no comic. Henry was actually reading a book. Said Dad. It was almost time for dinner. Henry was hungry and went into the kitchen where Dad was cooking. But instead of shouting, "I'm starving, where's my food?" Henry said, "Dad, you look tired. Can I help get supper ready?" "Don't be horrid, Henry," said Dad, pouring peas into boiling water. Then he stopped. "What did you say, Henry?" asked Dad. "Can I help, Dad?" said Perfect Peter. I asked if you needed any help, said Henry. I asked first, said Peter. Henry will just make a mess, said Dad. Peter, would you peel the carrots while I sit down for a moment? Of course, said Perfect Peter. Peter washed his spotless hands. Peter put on his spotless apron. Peter rolled up his spotless sleeves. Peter waited for Henry to snatch the peeler. But Henry laid the table instead. Mum came into the kitchen. Smells good, she said. Thank you, darling Peter, for laying the table. What a good boy you are. Peter did not say anything. I laid the table, Mum, said Henry. Mum stared at him. You? Said Mum. Me, said Henry. Why? Said Mum. Henry smiled. To be helpful, he said. You've done something horrid, haven't you, Henry? Said Dad. No, said Henry. He tried to look sweet. I'll lay the table tomorrow, said Perfect Peter. Thank you, Angel, said Mum. Dinner is ready, said Dad. The family sat down at the table. Dinner was spaghetti and meatballs with peas and carrots. Henry ate his dinner with his knife and fork and spoon. He did not throw peas at Peter, and he did not slurp. He did not chew with his mouth open, and he did not slouch. Sit properly, Henry, said Dad. I am sitting properly, said Henry. Dad looked up from his plate. He looked surprised. So you are, he said. Perfect Peter could not eat. Why wasn't Henry throwing peas at him? Peter's hand reached slowly for a pea. When no one was looking, he flicked the pea at Henry. Ouch, said Henry. Don't be horrid, Henry, said Mum. Henry reached for a fistful of peas. Then Henry remembered he was being perfect and stopped. Peter smiled and waited, but no peas bopped him on the head. Perfect Peter did not understand. Where was the foot that always kicked him under the table? Slowly, Peter stretched out his foot and kicked Henry. Ouch, said Henry. Don't be horrid, Henry, said Dad. But said Henry, then stopped. Henry's foot wanted to kick Perfect Peter round the block. Then Henry remembered he was being perfect and continued to eat. You're very quiet tonight, Henry, said Dad. The better to enjoy my lovely dinner, said Henry. Henry, where are your peas and carrots? Asked Mum. I ate them, said Henry. They were delicious. Mum looked on the floor. She looked under Henry's chair. She looked under his plate. You ate your peas and carrots, said Mum slowly. She felt Henry's forehead. Are you feeling all right, Henry? Yeah, said Horrid Henry. I'm fine. Thank you for asking, he added quickly. Mum and Dad looked at each other. What was going on? Then they looked at Henry. Henry, come here and let me give you a big kiss, said Mum. You're a wonderful boy. Would you like a piece of fudge cake? Peter interrupted. No cake for me, thank you, said Peter. I would rather have more vegetables.